Hello YouTube, I welcome to this fine day, and today we are going to have a look at Atraxa Grand Unifier in Historic Brawl. This deck aims to win by overwhelming the opponent with tons of value and, you know, just grinding it out. So our commander, Atraxa Grand Unifier, is a 7 mana 7/7 Flying Vigilance Death Touch lifelink, and when Atraxa enters the field, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each card type, you may put a card of that type from among the revealed cards into your hand. So, what this essentially means is you get one sorcery, one artifact, one instant, one planeswalker, you know, everything, you know, once, and put it into your hand, and that is pretty cool. This is very similar to Nif Mizzet Reborn. The big difference here is Atraxa costs 2 more mana, which is a huge deal. Atraxa is a better body. Lifelink is a huge deal against aggro, for example. Atraxa allows you to have a less restrictive deck, where Nif Reborn says you can only get multicolor cards with exactly 2 colors. Atraxa doesn't have that restriction, so we're just slightly playing a higher artifact enchantment count. Like, we're on 4 enchantments, 6 artifacts, 7 planeswalkers, 2 creatures, and usually Atraxa gets a 3 to 4 cards, and that is enough, because the way we want to play Atraxa is not to just get absolutely maximum value. We want Atraxa to dig deep and get a solution to the current board state, an answer. And usually you can just get an answer, and then anything on top is gravy, you know? So that is the philosophy behind that here. How do we get there? Well, cheap interaction, a bit of ramp, and then that is it, and some board wipes, really. So, you know, Inquisition, Thoughtseize, the usual suspects, cheap counter magic. We don't run things like counterspell, like actual counterspell, because double blue is not always easy to cast. Like, we're fine if our more expensive cards have double pips. But like, we really want to avoid double pips for the most part, which is why you don't see actual counterspell and see memory lapse here instead. Yeah, like, you know, cheap counter magic, cheap interaction, some ramp. Assemble the team is amazing. It's essentially impulse for 30 cards, so that is really strong. And for the top end, I chose to go into a more planeswalker heavy direction. The reason here is that planeswalkers go well with the way the deck wants to play, where we don't play too much at instant speed, which is why we prioritize cheap counter magic, right? And we don't want to waste our mana. So like, we don't have too much going on at instant speed. We usually just slam our ramp and then remove what's already on the board, and yeah, that is basically the strategy here. So yeah, let's play some games. Hope you will enjoy them. If you like what you see, consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and join my Discord. Link in every video description. I'm just basically always updating my deck list there. You can ask a lot of questions. Really cool community, and let's play some games. We are ready to play against Gaunty Lord of Luxury, and that should be not the greatest matchup, honestly, given that Gaunty is all about stealing the opponent's cards, and we have high card quality, and we don't have a lot of answers to our own cards, at least not an efficient answers. Well, decent answers, but you know. We could keep this if we had a 3rd land, but no black is kind of... Yeah, I think on the draw I would maybe keep this, because Cultivate just fixes our mana tremendously, but yeah, I would say that is in fact better. And I think we lead on this Triome. Get white mana. Although nah, it's fine. It is fine. So we could have, I mean, we could have played assembled a team there, but given that we had a Narset, I think we just want to get this Narset in play, start generating value, solve the equation or Pact of Negation. Solve the equation can get some fun stuff. It's mainly here for Emergent Ultimatum. Pact of Negation can prevent nasty things. I think there is a world where we solve the equation for a oh, that's an Emergent Ultimatum. Yeah, sure. I think there is a world where we solve the equation for Cultivate. And I think that is this exact world right now where we live in. Because that just generates us 2 lands and is really efficient. We shocked the Temple Garden in to keep up the Swan Song. I'm kind of fine with most things our opponent is doing here. Because the really scary things they can grab of Gonti are in our hand right now, with Emergent Ultimatum, or, you know, they can't cast them anyways yet. Cats are kind of going crazy in the background, sorry for that. Assemble the team. A Cultivate guarantees us Emergent Ultimatum next turn. So that is really good. What's not that great is that we have a Time Warp in hand that we kind of want to cast off of the Emergent Ultimatum. We can also just Time Warp for tempo here, which I kind of like, where we just, you know, cycle the Time Warp, and now we can cultivate, get more land drops. We need, I believe, blue at the very least, that is a given. And then another blue potentially. 3 blue, we have 3 black, 3 green, and we don't want a white source. Yeah, we just get blue. We edict the Gonti right now. Or do we want to protect our asset? I think we want to keep the board clean. Gonti decks usually play a lot of cards that oh, it's creature token. God damn it! I clicked on the wrong one. First cast of this card and I'm already ruining it. So yeah, Gonti decks usually play a lot of cards that allow Gonti to, you know, be revived from the graveyard. So like 1 mana when this creature dies, return to the battlefield, and then sacrifice, get Gonti value that way, which is why we wanted to kill Gonti now. But given that we can't just cast Emergent Ultimatum here from hand, and we have the protection up with the Swan Song here, they just scoop to that, so GG. We are ready to play against Tamiyo, Completed Sage. And yeah, like that hand. Turn 3 Teferi on the play against a deck that's full of counter magic. Sign me up. Okay. Let's get a blue source in play, and this deck is really light on green. So we're really not going for green. We are likely going for second black source. Yeah. And then we're trying to play this snow-covered plains as late as possible, given the fact that Emergent Ultimatum can't be cast off of white. So we have 2 cards in our deck that can't cast Emergent Ultimatum. Anyways, let's play Teferi Time Raveler. Let's bounce the Ghostly Pilferer. And now they can't play spells on our turn, which is really good against counter magic, because that basically shuts all counter magic completely down. Yeah, currently thinking. So if they, oh, they just Frozen Grip, but if they redeploy this, there is a world where we just, you know, I've got time. There is a world where we just kill this with an Assassin's Trophy in order to protect Teferi. We have solved the equation at instant speed up here, in case you're wondering, because we plussed out Teferi that allows us to cast sorceries as though they had flash until our next turn. Although there is a reason to not play this, and that is, you know, they can actually counter this, solve the equation. Very tricky. We have enough lands. That much is certain. Assemble the Team can just get us a Planeswalker threat indirectly, which I kind of like. Assassin's Trophy rams them, which I kind of don't like. So we can... If we get rammed, we can play Atraxa in 2 turns. But this Immersion Ultimatum with the Teferi in play just... Yeah, this is an Emergent Ultimatum deck, after all. Yeah, let's just kill this. And plus Teferi. And then Tamio should be completely irrelevant. And we're just working towards that Emergent Ultimatum. We have basically nothing going on there, which was, like, given that we absolutely have nothing going on, there was a very real reason to, you know, not grab Emergent Ultimatum, but we can protect ourselves with Teferi. We can also kick Skyclave Relic, which is really, really nice. And then try to resolve an Emergent Ultimatum next turn. They know it's coming, but I don't think they can stop it. They could stop it. They could activate Hall of Storm Giants, kill Teferi, and have Pact of Negation up. That is something they could have. Cyclone Summoner. Well, we are just going to play an Emergent Ultimatum, and it resolves. So, we're going for extra turn card. Very tricky. Eldest Reborn could be nice. I think if we grab Planeswalkers, we want to grab Planeswalkers that can immediately remove the Cyclone Summoner. So that would be, I think Professor Onyx is better than Liliana Dreadhorde Arcanist in that spot. And we want another one, another card that deals with this. Eldest Reborn can grab... Very interesting. Now let's just get Dreadhorde General. And that way we guaranteed remove the Cyclone Summoner. So I think I would, in there, yeah, put back the extra turn. But now we have 2 very relevant Planeswalkers in play, and I think we want to use Professor Onyx here to remove the Cyclone Summoner and then start ticking up this Liliana Dreadhorde Arcanist. And then next turn we can just lead on Teferi Time Reveler, force them to counter it, otherwise they can't counter anything else. Which is pretty good. And we start by plussing Onyx in case we get a counter magic off of that, like that. Let's plus here. And we just... Yeah, I think in order to not get this Teferi countered, we have to... Yeah, this... So I would have loved to play this Gilded Lotus first, right? But if we did that, we couldn't hold up Wash Away with it. And I think we're fine just not kicking the Skyclave Relic, but maybe it was better to keep up the Wash Away, right? Yeah, almost certainly it was better to keep up Wash Away. So... Yeah, I think playing the Skyclave Relic wasn't even correct. And then by that logic, playing the Gilded Lotus wasn't even correct as well. We can minus this Kura to bounce it to hand again, which is pretty cool. So let's start by doing that.
No, I am not making this up.
Leyline Binding will cost 2 at the very minimum in this deck, but 2 is very good. I think we're already winning, so something like a Memory Lapse will do us better than an Eternal Wanderer. Yeah, and they're off it. GG. We are ready to play against Muldrotha, the Gravetide. And that is a beautiful hand. Let's keep it. So, Muldrotha, basically another value commander, but we are newer and cooler and we have more colors, which means we will win. Easy. Dark Ritual here specifically is in this deck specifically because we can Dark Ritual into our commander, which is really impactful, and we just reload instantly. So that is pretty cool. Let's Curse of Silence their commander. It's not too relevant, because I don't think they will actually have the possibility of playing their commander and getting value out of it. But we don't really know anything else about their deck. And let's just play it like that. Ramp with Skyclave Relic. And then next turn we can just Dark Ritual into Atraxa? Yeah, believe we can. Old Rutstein. That's a cool turn 3. How about Atraxa? Land is actually scary. We could have Wash Away, but don't think we play around that. And Atraxa resolves. Beautiful. Get the sorcery, likely the Time Warp. We don't have anything we want to answer here. Teferi's the only Planeswalker. Instant Artifact, those are the only ones. And then what color do we need? We need another green, and I think we want... Yeah, let's just grab a Dreamroot Cascade. And then we need to discard something, huh? I guess it is... Explore? Yeah, it is Explore, because next turn we can... Gilded Lotus Teferi? With Explore we could have also just Explore land drop Time Warp, but don't think that is too relevant. Atraxa becomes a treasure. Well, isn't that convenient? Because that actually allows us to Gilded Lotus into Time Warp. Wow, that is amazing. Love it. Yep. Move Atraxa back to the command zone, extra turn. And then we are going to... Oh, let's see. I think we want to bounce something. We could remove the Reska, but I think given that we have a Swan Song in our hand, we can just protect an Emergent Ultimatum here from a Thoughtseize effect. Resolve that next turn. And we are good to go, most likely. Teferi? I think we want to Infernal Grasp instead, right? It's just too efficient to bounce Old Rutstein here. And I think... I'm still unsure on what we play this. Blue and then you on black, most likely. Seems good. Spark Double. That is another Atraxa. Okay. That is actually not too much of an issue. They just proliferate twice. But like, we definitely get an extra turn with this Emergent Ultimatum. Maybe it's just correct to Casualties of War though. Do we have something? We don't have Planeswalkers that kill other Planeswalkers, right? Yeah, I think let's just take this turn, stop this Reska from ultimating. Land Planeswalker. So let's take them off of blue, kill this Reska, and then whatever, play this on white. Doesn't matter too much. And now we're safe. I don't want the Raska to ultimate because we get up to 9 poison counters, and that means any form of proliferation kills us. And proliferate is really popular right now, and I assume that they play a bunch of other proliferate cards. And just Raska alone is actually not a threat at all. So that was just a safety play, basically. And I think we want to Infernal Grasp here, just to keep the board clear when we emerge and ultimate. No, we only have 1 extra turn left in our deck. And if we draw Elrond's Epiphany right now, the Immersion Ultimatum will get weaker. But I think this is fine. So, extra turn, and then what card do we... Oh, I think we want an Eldest Reborn, right? And then what is disgusting with an extra turn? Usually Professor Onyx is really good with extra turns. Although... How much loyalty do you have? 7. We could go Eternal Wanderer, and if they give us Eternal Wanderer plus extra turn, we can just attack for 4. Let's do Professor Onyx plus Eldest Reborn. Really like that line. They give us Onyx plus extra turn, which gives us plenty of time to dig for an answer. We get 2 plus activations from Professor Onyx here. That is a Baleful Mastery, which answers the Raska quite nicely. Would have loved to have a Thoughtseize effect here, but given that we have 2 counter spells, I don't think that is too important. So Baleful Mastery, exile Raska. Take our extra turn, plus first. Let's just get a land, I assume. Yeah, and they scoop it up. GG. We are ready to play against Urza, Lord Protector. And against Urza... Tricky hand. I like it because we have lands, but we just don't have blue, which is also an issue. I think there are better hands we can find. And this is one of them. We don't have white here, but I'm generally feeling safer with these kinds of cards in my hand. Let's see what is up, maybe. I don't think there's anything on turn 1 that we're actually afraid of, which is why I like to play a Shipwreck March. Potentially. No, Dreamroot Cascade. So we're playing Dreamroot Cascade in case we get into the north or a similar card like that at the top. We didn't. It's Signet. Oh, by the way, I should have totally shocked this Watery Grave here for the Thoughtseize. But it is fine. Pay for Esper Sentinel. We usually get their threats out of their hand anyways. That is one of those threats where we don't care too much what they're doing for the most part, unless it is a very, very specific card that they're playing. We still need white. White is still absent. Like the fateful absence. Yep, that happens. And just drawing a single white source is already very, like, very good in this case. I think if they play literally anything right now, if Time Warp, please. God damn it. Okay. If they play literally anything, that is literally anything, I'm going to Pact. We pay for that. We offer our own pact to get 2 treasures. And then we Swan Song the Discover. And then we should be in a decent spot, not an amazing spot, a decent spot. Mirage Mirror, sure. And They scry. If they keep on top, I think we wipe. If they don't keep on top, I think we play the Atraxa. Yeah. Because if they keep on top, that means they are confident that they win against an Atraxa. We just play our Atraxa and make a tapped white source land drop, most likely. Okay. That is a tapped white source. Cultivate. Let's get you, and I believe we want a Mystical Dispute. Sure. And play you. And then the question becomes, what do we discard here? Not sure if we have the time for this Gilded Lotus, but given that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... Yeah, we can Gilded Lotus plus Mystical Dispute. Mirage Mirror becomes a copy of Atraxa, but that doesn't actually matter unless they top deck a land. Yeah, if they top deck a land, we're actually dead here. So I think I made a misplay there. Should have maybe just Supreme Verdicted. Yeah, any land off the top is lethal for them. Wait, no, that is... Wait, no, we can't just do this, right? Where Atraxa doesn't die and we get the life. Yeah. And now we are not dead and on board. Which is pretty cool. Yeah, okay. I miscalculated here. We weren't dead. Swords to Plowshares, I dare you. Just give me the life. Nice. And this of any creature, right? We don't have double white still. I think we absolutely need the double white. Let's... I think we just can't let them have cards, which is why we pay for this. I think we just need more white sources, right? In case we want to play Kaya. Oh, I think I guess I should have one white and then one for this Leyline Binding to let it cost 2. Huh. But now we just play this Arcane Signet and have Fateful Absence up. I think that's fine as well. Although now maybe we want to play it in the end step because now they draw a card, technically 2 cards off of this. Not too happy with this either way. I don't think we kill anything. Just gives them too many cards and we're kind of good on life here. Especially given the fact that we are about to drop a Kaya. So that is... pay for that. That's not how this works, opponent. Very sorry. Wash away. They do have 3 mana up. And we are just going to Fateful Absence the... No. We're not going to Fateful Absence anything here. That just feels wrong. We don't want to give them cards, right? So Supreme Verdict, we can just counter. No. This is letting the card. Yeah, no. I thought it would get counted. No. I'm confused. Sorry, but we are just going to pay for the Supreme Verdict. Can't get countered. We are going to play a Narset, part of Veils. It really bites us that we didn't fetch a forest here. But it is fine. It is fine. We have a Growth Spiral at instant speed up. We have a Sudden Edict up. Feeling pretty good about this one. Sure, Skyclave Relic kicked. That is absolutely fine. And then... yeah, just Growth Spiral. Started by... oh, there is a forest. Beautiful. Start with the Narset.
Meditate.
Don't need Day of Judgment in this spot. We could just drop an Atraxa, but then our hand would be way too full, honestly. Don't want to spend the life. You. It really doesn't matter. And we, I think, are going to activate Celestis here. Because that way... we played 2 spells this turn, right? So, Impulse, sure, we don't need a Fateful Absence. We don't want to let them draw cards. We have Leyline Binding if they play Planeswalker. You know, or just Mystical Dispute, but that's not likely going to be useful. Our own Skyclave Relic, do we care? No, not really. Moonsilver Key, that grabs the Might Stone and the Weak Stone in order for them to melt Urza, which they're never going to get, like, they're never going to get to that point, given that, you know, in response to the activation we can just remove Urza. Impulse likely dinging for land here, although... okay. Okay, I am digging for a land with Impulse, yes. But given that we just drop a Atraxa in this spot, just get more value here. Yep, Atraxa, Grand Unifier entering, and we have a sorcery likely going to be... I kind of want this Time Warp in the deck, and we can just cast this Assemble the team, and we can dig for... what's it called? We can just dig for Emergent Ultimatum that way. Edict, Curse of Silence. Yep. And assemble the team. You are grabbing... let's see. No Emergent Ultimatum. Kind of bad here, but... I think I will always take a Professor Onyx. Curse of Silence is also especially cool here, given that, you know, the commander is currently in the command zone. But I think we can also just name Might Stone and the Weak Stone. Oh, they decided it's worth it to Swansong this. Not sure if I agree, but I also don't know if they ever have better targets. But, like, they know we have a bunch of removal here. Moonsilver Key, sure. Again, we have Binding against Urza. We have Sheoldred's Edict. We just have plenty of answers. The one mistake I think I made was that I didn't tap Celestis, where maybe I should have left a land untapped. The reason why that's relevant is if they draw removal for Celestis, go to main phase 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we just Mystical Dispute that. And they have to pay for that. But now Might Stone and Weak Stone can't come down. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, but like, if they had artifact removal, main 1, then we float the mana. They move to main 2, now mana isn't floating anymore, now we only have 1 mana left. We're kind of fine with that. But also, we would rather have this Narset around. Kind of like getting rid of their Mirage Mirror. Also sends our Atraxa back to the command zone, which we kind of want to do. So let's Professor Onyx plus and Teferi Hero of Dominaria. Nice. Plus that. Although we should Wait, how many basics do we have left? We still do have basics left. Nice. We want to thin our deck beforehand. Although, shuffling here was maybe a bad idea because we knew we were close to this emergent ultimatum. So I don't... Yeah. In hindsight, this wasn't a good shuffle.
You know what?
Yeah. We could just activate this here. But given the fact that we have the sudden edict, we have just removal, like we're super far ahead. 1-2. Just you. Nice. Reckoner Bank Buster. I believe we want to leyline binding that. Yeah, they currently can't draw cards here, which is why they're going to kill this bird. And Reckoner Bank Buster can draw cards in our turn. And this is what I mean. They activate Urza and we can still just kill it in response. Let's just use the Sudden Edict. No, maybe Baleful Mastery. We already have Planeswalker removal here. Oh, we could have just paid 2 for this, and then they... Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's exactly what I did. Obviously meant to do that. But yeah, they can't draw any more cards this turn. And we leyline binding the Bank Buster because they can only draw 1 card per turn, but that means they can also just activate Bank Buster in our turn, right? Which we don't want to happen. Land, or land. Let me pick a land. Plus the ferry. Yeah, and they scoop to this. GG. We are done with the games. I hope you enjoyed them as much as I did. And yeah, that is Atraxa Grand Unifier in Historic Brawl. Well, this deck is pretty nasty. Let me tell you. It is, first and foremost, it is not a tier 1 super strong deck. And with tier 1, I don't mean HELLQUEue. I mean what the actual most powerful deck in the format is. Atraxa is not the best deck in the format. It is, however, a deck that has a very low skill ceiling in deck building, meaning that you don't need to be a good deck builder to build a decent Atraxa deck. And it does the things that casual decks have struggled to beat, where casual decks are usually not super fast and they are usually a bit more grindy, and Atraxa is just grindier. It just does the things casual decks do, but better. Which in a competitive setting is not too strong, but in the queue it is really good. So Atraxa is currently a really solid commander if you want to have a good win rate. I think I'm currently 11-0 with this list. I mean, the set just dropped a couple of hours ago, so like, you know, results may vary. But Atraxa is a really strong list right now just to play. We have ironed out a couple of weird cards, like suboptimal cards. For example, I identified that Search for Scanta, a popular value engine, is not too great in this deck because we're not playing too much at instant speed. Like, if we're playing at instant speed, we're mostly playing at instant speed for like with 1 or 2 mana open maximum, right? Where, you know, we have an impulse, we have a mystical dispute up, we have an offer you can't use up, but for the most part we want to tap out, and which is why we don't play cards like Search for Scanta. And I mean, there are a lot of ways you can build this deck. You can just, you know, play the best cards in your collection and you will probably have a, you know, a decent list. The core here that makes everything work is the ramp package. I believe those are like almost the only ramp spells in the game. Growth Spiral, Explore into the North, Arcane Signet, Cold Steel Heart, that are not creature based and actually give you colors. Colors are pretty important for this list. And then you want to have the cheap interaction. And then for the top end, it doesn't matter too much what you choose as the top end. I highly recommend Emergent Ultimatum. And then if you run Emergent Ultimatum, Time Warp plus Alrund's Epiphany is kind of something you need to run in your deck. And then some monocolored Planeswalker threats. No, it doesn't need to be Planeswalker, right? But just some monocolored threats. To pick with Emergent Ultimatum, so you can go like extra turn threat, or extra turn threat, things like that. But yeah, that is basically how the deck is constructed. And if you want to build this deck on a budget, this is the wrong video. Like, what are you doing here? Our mana base has basics and command tower, and the rest is rare, right? Just the mana base, and you need the mana base. The mana base is so incredibly important. We don't want to rely on inconsistent fixing, like let's say Chromatic Lantern. That is a popular card people use to fix their mana. But my argument is, if you rely on Chromatic Lantern, like if your mana base is that bad that you need Chromatic Lantern, what do you do if you don't draw Lantern? So you want to make your mana base as good as possible without Lantern. And at that point, you don't need Lantern anymore, which is why we don't run it, right? So yeah, mana base, you really need it. It is like, we're really a true 4-color deck, so lands are absolutely mandatory. Threats, you can play what you want, play the cool things in your collection. Interaction, I highly recommend using these. Like, if you want to craft things for this deck, I usually would craft the interaction before the threats first, and then some kind of ramp. Growth Spiral, by the way, has an uncommon printing, so this is just here because it looks cool. But luckily the ramp package and some of the interaction package is not too expensive. And then, you know, some amount of board wipes. I'm running four board wipes, well, 5 right now. Day of Judgment, Wrath of God, Supreme Verdict, Casualties of War, and Farewell. And these are here because sometimes you just jam Atraxa. They create a huge board because you have essentially gave them another turn, like you just spent your whole turn playing a huge creature and drawing cards and not impacting the board too much. So then you want to be able to get a board wipe off of Atraxa in order to come back on board. These are currently, in my opinion, the best board wipes to run in this specific list, but feel free to make changes there. This is by no means the perfect Atraxa list in my opinion, but I think we got pretty close to something that I would be happy to just bring and say, hey, this is, you know, as far as optimization goes, a decent Atraxa list, and it is pretty fun to play. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Subscribe, all the fun stuff, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.